Hey guys, it is MissSimReno. If you are returning to the channel, welcome back. And if you're brand new, I am so excited that you decided to join me here today for another speed build in San Sequoia. Yes, we are still building with Growing Together. I say that as if it's been a long time. It literally hasn't even been out a week at the time of me recording this. I don't even know. So I can't really make that exclamation of like, oh my goodness, we're still in San Sequoia. I'm not leaving anytime soon. So just gonna put that out there. But we are building another family home today. And I'm really excited because this is a shape that I really wanted to create. It is a 2-story home. Thank goodness, because I struggle with the 1-story homes so much, and I was really excited to try to do something that was 2 stories. So this is actually where one of the starter homes was originally built, and I actually tried to maintain the same shape as the starter home because it was, of course, a craftsman style home. It looked more like a cottage compared to a bungalow, of course, because bungalows are 1-story homes. But I was trying to kind of stick to that same shape, but really make my own version, if you will. I considered doing a renovation, but I really wanted to see if I could piece together this shape of house. And mainly it's because of the what almost looks like a dormer, but is essentially the second story, just kind of bumping out into the roof a little bit. I just wanted to test myself to see if I could do it. And I did it. I did it, and I thought it came out really cute, but I did struggle with kind of what to put on the sides of this build. You can see that I'm already trying to make a carport, and I do not keep the carport, I don't believe. I think I ended up doing one kind of bump out to the left-hand side, one towards the back of the build, and then I had like a chimney on the right-hand side. But I can't exactly remember at this point. I only built this a couple days ago, and now I can't remember. But I really like this house, and it took me a lot longer to build this one than it did for me to build the other 2 homes that I have created with this new pack already, and I will explain why. Now, not only did I want to make sure that this looked really balanced and had enough space for a growing family, okay, that was number 1. I wanted to make sure it was a minimum of 2 bedrooms. I haven't made anything bigger than 2 bedrooms, so I'm so sorry. I will try to make something a little bit bigger at some point, but this one isn't it. But I wanted to make sure it didn't feel too cramped as well. And I wanted at least 2 bathrooms this time because in my other homes, I've only been able to make 2 beds and 1 bath. And I don't know why, it just makes me so wildly uncomfortable. I need an additional bathroom. So I was able to do that in this build, and I was really excited. And I really wanted to focus on the side yard as well, because as a lot of you probably have realized at this point, if you've been watching any builds with this new pack or exploring it on your own, the smallest lot size that we have in this new world is a 30 by 20, which surprised me. Yeah, I think it surprised me. That's what I'm going to say. It surprised me. I was anticipating at least 120 by 15, so you could build a starter home. And I'm just not used to building starter homes on 30 by 20s or really any homes on a horizontal 30 by 20. I'm used to the other lots that we have that are more so 20 by 30. You picking up what I'm putting down? I think I even mentioned this in my last build too. So I wanted to focus on the side yard here, and I just wanted it to look nice. I am really bad at side yards. That I personally think I'm terrible at them. You might disagree. I think I'm awful. So I was really trying to think through the side yard and have this lot blend in with the world around it as well, because that's something that I will try to do if I don't utilize the entire lot with like buildings or a garage like I was starting to do here, which I end up getting rid of the detached garage because I just didn't feel like having one for this build. I try to make the rest of the lot just kind of blend a little bit. So I did use a few different like fence pieces from the debug menu and some different landscaping objects to just try to make it blend a little bit more in the surrounding world. And I think it came out okay. Now, the side yard itself, what I did is I sized up this gate. It's actually, when I start placing objects in the side yard towards the end of the build, you start to realize how disproportionate the size of the gate is to like the bicycle, for example, I put out back. It's huge. I sized it up because it wouldn't fit this fence, but I really wanted the gate to match the fencing on the house. I don't know why I'm focusing so heavily on this, but it's just a huge gate and it's totally unnecessary. So if you want to change it, go ahead and change it. Like, I won't be offended if you do change it, because it just looks a little bit wonky when you actually start looking at the proportion, like in the sizes of the other objects that I placed. But anyway, we are working on the landscaping, which I really did enjoy. I liked it. I liked this landscaping a lot, and I think it's just because I used a lot of the debug plants that I enjoyed the most. And I've been trying to make my landscaping for each build slightly different. I mean, I'm not striving for a stark difference that's truly identifiable, but I wanted this to look a little bit more, I don't know if overgrown is the word I'm looking for. Yeah, no, I don't think it is. But I also use these flower boxes from Get Together. I really love these flower boxes, and I don't get to use them as often as I'd like just because I don't think that they fit, every single build that I end up making. But I think they really fit here. And this home to me is just very cozy. It is not rustic, but it's just not as polished or contemporary or modern as the last build that I did in this world. And a lot of the objects that we got with this pack, I explained this in my last build too with Growing Together, is that we kind of have a few different styles going on. We've got like modern contemporary furniture, and then we also have like vintage, used, like kind of rustic looking things too. And I just wanted to strike a balance with this one. And I wanted to go with a lot more cozy, like definitively. That's what I wanted to do, because the first build I did was for my LP. So it was very specific to like certain Sims that I had in mind. So that was a little bit different. And then I went super contemporary for the second build. And now this is my third build. And I wanted to go just ultra cozy, because if you guys have been around the channel, that's my vibe. I really like making cluttered, cozy, somewhat realistic looking family homes and apartments. So that's what I was trying to do here. And you can see that I did pull out this debug fence because it matched some of the fencing that you can see right next to it. And I pulled out some shrubs and stuff. Again, just trying to make the lot blend a little bit with the world around it, because I wasn't going to use the entire lot for the build itself. And now we're on to the interior. And I did figure out this floor plan off camera at first, because let me tell you, it was a doozy. It was really difficult for me to kind of figure it out. And I think I know what the culprit is. The culprit is my desire to use this new archway, number one. And number two is that 3-tile window that we have back there. I always want to use those two objects, and you need a significant amount of space to do that. And sometimes it can kind of mess up the floor plan that you might have in mind. So you can see here, I was trying to figure out how I was going to lay out the living space as well. And I kept in this first attempt because it was a struggle. It took me probably about an hour to figure out the layout just for this living room. And that's usually that's not a good omen for me as a builder. Usually it means that I'm going to struggle with the rest of the build and I just get really flustered and frustrated. So what I did is I tried it for an hour, I dropped it for a few hours and came back with fresh eyes. I even stripped the flooring. Like I just went back to the floor plan, went back to the basics, and I figured it out and I really, really liked it. So I did use the new couches that we got with this pack, the new rug, and then I put the console table behind this couch in this little, I'll call it a bay window. I don't really know if that's what it's considered, but I did that because it allowed me to situate the couches the way that I wanted to, and it made the shape of the room feel less awkward. So I really liked that. That pretty much set the tone for the rest of the build, and I ended up loving it. It's probably my favorite build that I've done with this pack so far. So third time's the charm. I really like the house that I built for my LP, but I love this house. And what I was envisioning is that this was a house for a couple. It was like their very first house and they just had a baby. Well, maybe not just had a baby, because I was envisioning that they had an infant. So maybe what they did is they were living in like an apartment or something when they first had their child. And now that their baby or their infant is a couple months old, they have scrounged up enough money and bought their very first home. And they love it. They absolutely love it. They got maybe their couches at like a vintage antique store. Same with the coffee table, because I used the one from, it's high school years. Yeah, I think it came from high school years. I love it. It's kind of like it's a DIY-ish coffee table, and I really enjoyed it. And I love putting console tables behind couches like this if I have the ability to do it, because I can add so much clutter and kind of personalize things. And granted, I didn't go overboard with personalizing the clutter back there, but I really liked it. There's like a ton of books. There's a few little statues, which I do swap out with some different ones at some point. And that new flower arrangement that came with this pack is beautiful. I love it. And then I also used a ton of those new picture frames that we got to build a bigger, I'll say a bigger like family photo collage behind the couch to the right at this point. You can kind of see it. I've already placed it there, but I thought it looked really, really nice. I loved it so much, and I could just envision all of these family pictures being swapped out and changed as their little one gets older, and it just brought me so much joy. I also put that new little kind of like wicker animal basket thing in the corner, and later I do put a play mat down there for the infant, because at the time of me actually going through this, I was thinking, well, I know they're going to have a child, I just don't know what age yet. And I just caved, and I was like, I'm making a nursery for an infant. So I added a little bit later, but then this is going to be the kitchen, which I thought was an odd shape until I actually started laying it out, and things worked out really, really nicely. I was able to get a 4-seater dining table here without issue. It didn't block any of the countertops or appliances. And again, I kind of went with this more like vintage, rustic, cozy vibe to the whole kitchen. I ended up swapping out the dining table with the one from Cats and Dogs, because I think that one from Base Game was just a little bit too traditional for me. I thought the one from Cats and Dogs seemed maybe more like a thrifted table. You know what I mean? And I love these chairs from the new pack as well. I mixed a few different wood tones too. I kind of have some orangey woods. I've got some darker toned woods, and I also have some lighter toned woods. I mean, I've got the whole range throughout this house. I didn't really stick with like one wood tone, but I did really like the kitchen. I think that there was more counter space than I was anticipating, and that weird little like bump out to the left-hand side, I end up putting one of this china cabinet thing here that I have to the right. I kind of toss it over there with a trash bin because I thought that was a great use of the space. It allowed me to add a few more countertops to the kitchen. And like I said, everything was accessible, which made me really, really happy. I love when spaces look too cramped to play in, and then you surprise yourself when you play test things and everything functions great. That's my favorite thing, because I think it was when there was an update with Tiny Living. I want to say it was when Tiny Living came out. We got a little bit of a routing update where I think you only need, I could be incorrect. If you know better than I, please put it down in the comments, but I think you only need like a quarter of a tile to be able to have your Sims navigate around certain objects or use them. That could be a generalization. I'm not entirely sure, but after Tiny Living came out, my Sims could route around things better, like so much better. That's what I'm trying to articulate. They could route around things so much better. And therefore, this kitchen is entirely usable. That's the moral of the story here. But I did clutter the heck out of some of the available countertops. Now, I think what I did is I only left one countertop available to use as a cooking surface. So you could ditch some of this clutter if you wanted to open up more counter space. You can do whatever the heck you'd like if you download my builds. I don't normally say that because I almost feel like it's not necessary for me to say that, but if you guys download my builds, you can do whatever the heck you want. You're not gonna hurt my feelings. Like, I don't care, do whatever you'd like. I also used that new rug from the pack in pretty much every single room. In some rooms, I used the same swatch, but in others, I switched it up just a little bit. And now here is the most exciting part. I was able to put the standing piano right in the entryway, right in this little nook between the stairs and the bathroom. And I just thought to myself, like, this is quite literally perfect. This is exactly where someone might put their standing piano as well. I was just so thrilled because I did use it in my very first build with this pack, did not use it in the second. And when I used it in the first, it just felt very forced because it was such a small, tiny little room. And then I ended up getting rid of it anyway because I turned it into a nursery. So I loved having what felt like a more natural spot to put this piano. I was just so freaking happy. It made the home feel so much more cozy and real. And I don't know why that is. I really don't. I grew up with a piano in my house. It was not a standing piano like that. We actually had a grand piano in my house because my mother plays piano. And I think it was a gift from my dad. I want to say it was a gift from my dad. I could be wrong. I don't know. I don't remember. But yeah, we had a grand piano in my house growing up, which now that I say that out loud, seems rather extravagant. I didn't appreciate it at the time at all. I don't know how to play any instruments, but it did just make it feel more homey to me. And having the standing piano right in the entryway, like I was just thinking maybe it was passed down from one of the parents. So one of the grandparents passed down. It's been the family forever. And they happened to just have the perfect spot for it. And it fills me with the warm and fuzzies, okay? That's all I'm trying to say. And now we are on to the second story. So we do have both of the bedrooms up here, as well as another full bathroom, which is perfect. So your Sims don't have to go all the way downstairs to use the bathroom and do what they need to do. And it is also an opportunity for them to really tend to their infant as well, without having to carry them up and down the stairs all the time for miscellaneous things. And now this is going to be the parents' bedroom. I did use the new bed that came with this pack, and I was able to squeeze these base game end tables vertical to use them over there. And then this was the perfect little nook for a dresser. Like, the little nooks in this build, which I thought were awkward in the floor planning, really worked to my advantage here, and I was pleasantly surprised. I also cluttered up this dresser, which is from Cats and Dogs. It's one of my favorite dressers and one of my favorite swatches, so I was really excited to use it. And I did not know about that shelf that I just put kind of above the stairs. Didn't even know that came with this pack, this new expansion. Hadn't seen it in the catalog yet. Don't even know how I missed it. Also missed this little speaker that I put down on the coffee table. Like, there were so many things that I've missed in my 2 builds thus far, and it's really because I wasn't looking for them. Like, I don't know. I wasn't looking for certain objects, so I was really thrilled to find a few more things here that I just hadn't used yet. That shouldn't really surprise me. You know what I mean? Like, only doing 2 builds with the new pack, it's not like I'm going to use every single object that we got with it, but I discovered so many more things when I was doing this build, and every single time I found something, it made the build feel more and more homey, and it just warmed my freaking heart. Now, this is going to be the nursery, and there is the changing table with the garbage pail, the diaper pail, as well as the crib from base game. And I will say, I'm glad, number one, that the changing tables are as small as they are, but they're also big. Does that make sense? Because it's a little bit difficult to work with a room this size with the objects being the size that they are. I don't know, maybe I'm overthinking it. And I also, these curtains, they're freaking huge. I sized them down a few to kind of fit into this nursery here, but they're really big, and I kind of wish that we had a smaller version of them. I'm not complaining, I'm just expressing my anxieties over struggling to use some of these objects, so don't mind me. But I did really like this nursery because I used a combination of like purples and blues and these soft greens and yellows. It felt very, very lively, but also very calm and tranquil at the same time. I just really liked the color combinations. I don't feel like I've done this color combination before because there's so many colors that I put together. Usually I pick like 2 colors to combine, but here I used like 3 or 4, and it came together so nicely because Sims team did a great job of matching all of these items together with the different swatches, and I was very, very happy. I really like the nursery. I think that it's a little bit different from some of the other ones that I've done, and I finally used this little wall decoration thing, the little shelf. I thought that was so cute. I used one of the new wall decals. I just finally felt like I had made a nursery that felt put together. Not that my other ones haven't. I don't know. Can you just sense the insecurity? I always get very insecure when using new build and buy items with a brand new pack because I think I've mentioned this before. I'm like a broken record these days. I'm so sorry. But when I get new items, I'm just like, how do I use them? Like, what do they go with? Do I know what kind of look they're going for? What can I combine it with? Am I actually going to achieve the look that I'm going for? I just get very nervous about using new items. It's like when I put CC in my game. When I put CC in my game, I'm like, I don't know how to use this. Like what do I do? I have no idea what to do. And I always feel like that with a new pack as well. I didn't show the other bathroom being furnished because it is just a bathroom, but we do continue onto the side yard with the landscaping and tossing a few activities out here as well. I think I add a picnic table with a picnic basket from Cottage Living because I love it. There's a few little gardening pots. I think there's a grill, and then there's a bunch of just like decorative quote unquote outdoor plants that I really enjoyed. I didn't add a ton of activities out here because I was thinking if you do use this for a growing family, that those activities would change anyway. When that infant becomes a toddler, you might add a toddler pool and a slide. And when that toddler becomes a child, you might add the treehouse, which will fit here. I did test it out. You might have to pull the fence out like 1 or 2 tiles, but it'll fit. I did look at that very temporarily off camera. But yeah, that is pretty much it for the build. I hope you all enjoyed this one. I cannot wait to hear your thoughts, and I will catch you next time I post a video, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.